This video is going to teach you how to build your balsa bridge truss. Previously, we worked on creating our drawing, our layout of parts on our design sheet here, showing that we have our testing blocks, our sky, and then also our water layer down below. This is set at a 4-meter bridge height, just like on our Bridge Designer software. The ultimate goal of this is to end up with a finished truss that looks like this. You'll be building your truss, which will then be joined with your partner. To start with, the first thing we need to do is get our materials together. So you have your paper, you have your sheet protector to go on, so we can glue and build right on top of it. We need a little bit of wood glue. We need your group's straight edge razor blade with the cap. You're also going to need your pencil and just a little bit of masking tape. Alright, so our first step is going to be to create our top and bottom beams, being our top beam here and our bottom beam. To do that, you just take the sticks and you want to make sure that you have your square cut end, as we have here, and you lay it end to end. Okay? This just happens to be the perfect length piece. Mine broke a little bit. You will start with a much longer piece. So that piece works there. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of tape, and I'm going to tape this piece down in strategic spots where there are not any parts overlapping. So I'm laying it directly on top of our design, right on the ends here, lining it up, making sure I stay straight. So on this very end, since we have a deck truss and there's nothing attached there, I'm going to tape it down there. And then I'm going to start taking little pieces of tape and taping it down in between every joint on the bridge rail. Again, the reason I want to do this is so that we have a solid anchor point to attach all of our other pieces. You can see I'm just tearing little strips of tape off, making sure I stay within the lines of our design, and also making sure I do not get any tape over spots where there will be gluing taking place. You don't ever want to have to glue around tape or tape over glue. That does not turn out well. One last piece of tape for the top. Okay, next we have to go and do the bottom rail now. We did the top already, now we're going to do the bottom. So again, I take my piece of wood here, and I'm going to place it along. I'm actually going to go for a different length one here. Take this one. Now I notice my edges are a little rough, and that's okay. We're going to take our knife, slide this up. We want to make sure we only cut on the cutting mat, not on our design. And we are going to make a nice, crisp, clean, straight vertical cut with our knife to make sure that it is square. Again, put the cap back on the knife so that it's safely out of the way. What we're going to do then is lay this right on top at the end. We'll lay this right next to our drawing beam. We're going to come across here on our drawing. Here's the end of it, so we're going to mark on the wood with our pencil. You can see that mark right there. That's where we are going to cut it. So again, take our knife, put the blade straight down on the mark vertically, and make our cut. Now once again, we will tape this down. This one's a little trickier because we do not have all of the unlimited space on the ends, so we have to get in a little bit tighter with our tape, but it will still work. Again, tearing off some more pieces of tape just to try to fit in here. You want to make sure your tape is affixed well, especially on this one since we only have 4 spots to tape down. And you can see there where I overlapped the part a little bit, so I gotta bring that tape up a little bit and bend it back out of the way. Alright, Now we have that, the next step is we need to do our vertical pieces. Those would be the main connectors for top to bottom here. So what we need to do is you take the square cut piece and you lay it up next to, you can see here it's right up against, flat against the top. And what I need to do is put a pencil mark across it where it comes to the top edge of that bottom rail. So I'll show you that here. So it's lined up. I go in line with the top edge of the bottom rail, put a little mark, and now if I cut that nice and straight, it should fit in real nice. So we do a dry fit to make sure it's going to fit without having to glue it, and it does nicely. Alright, here's where the glue comes in. Make sure your glue's cleaned off. All you need is a little dab of glue, just a tiny little bit of glue. And you're going to take the ends of this piece and just lightly dip them in the glue. We don't want a ton of glue. The more glue you have, the longer it takes to dry and the heavier your bridge is. So we're going to take just enough glue, line it up with the drawings, and we're going to squeeze it together very lightly for just a few seconds to make sure it gives that glue a chance to bond. When you're doing that, if you have any little squeeze outs, little blobs of glue that come out, you can wipe those across the seam just to fill in any gaps that there may be in the balsa. Once that is kind of held down, then you'll take a little piece of tape and just tape that in place just to make sure it doesn't wiggle on us. So again, a little piece of tape across there, making sure I do not tape it on anywhere where there's going to be another piece. Alright, and then the basic process now is we just go down the line making our verticals. So we will do that quickly. And again, making sure when you cut your knife that it is straight up and down. We're dry fitting, it pushed it out a little bit, so I'm going to trim just a hair off. And that fit perfectly. So again, I'm going to dab into the glue, dab into the glue, push in place. You can see a little glob of glue came out, so I'm just going to rub that over the seams. Hold it in place for just a few seconds. And then I'll get my tape ready and tape it in place. Okay, there's that one. Moving on. Again, same process, lay it in place, line it up, mark it, cut straight, chest fit, again a little bit long. I'd rather be a little long than short because then we can't use the piece at all. Okay, so we get it going, test fit, it fits, dip the ends in the glue. Another reason you don't want to use a ton of glue on your paper at once or on your sheet protector is the glue will eventually start to dry out and get a film, which makes it very difficult to use. So again, we will hold that together, wipe any squishes of glue that come out. And this one may be a little bit short actually, but I think we can make it work. Once again, I'm going to tape this in place, make my tape the right size. A little overlap there, that'll work. And actually, now that we're looking at it, yep, that piece is a little too short. You can see how the end kind of cracked out on us a little bit there. So we'll have to cut another one, which means we have to work quick because we have glue already on the wood, and it will not stay workable for long. There we go. There is a perfect fit. So one tiny little dab of glue on each end. Fit it in place, and that is actually tight enough. We don't need to hold it much at all. We'll just put the tape down and hold it in place. There we have 2 more verticals to go. We'll do these quick. And making the cuts, making sure they're clean, straight up and down. Test fit a little bit long. Trimming. And there's a perfect fit, nice and snug. Again, just enough glue to just barely cover the end. Hold in place, get my tape ready. A little long. There we go. One more vertical beam, and then we'll be ready for the angles. And what I'll do is I'll just show you a couple of those angles for the sake of time, but I wanted to get these pieces done here. So again, we've cut our test fit, went well. It's time to put our glue on. Make sure we have an even coverage, and we do. We'll put that there. Hold it in place for a moment. Again, don't squeeze too hard or you might actually break the balsa wood. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on it. Now what we're going to do is get this set, and we're going to take just a short little break. Going to have you work on some of the other pieces in your worksheets and your design packets while this glue sets up. We'll come back in a couple of seconds here and do some of the diagonal supports.